Start again. Good morning, everyone. I'll have to turn my microphone to start. It is now 9:32 and we're online. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of council by accessing the meeting, which will be live streamed on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel, or by contacting our municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting being held electronically. Members of the public may also attend the meeting in person at Coldstream Community Centre, located at 27 Ilderton Road. And I don't see any additions to the agenda. I'll ask, are there any disclosures that we need to be made aware of? And I don't see any hands, so we can now move to delegations, presentations and petitions. We do have a presentation from Mike DeVos on the Bromwell drain, and it's just coming on, and he will provide an overview of the engineer's report with regard to that project. Good morning, Mr. DeVos. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Okay, good morning. You can hear me okay?
Yes, you're clear as a bell. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, the report for the Bromwell Drain Branch 9 is a report prepared in accordance with Section 4 of the Drainage Act for a new municipal drain. There was a petition to incorporate an existing tile drain. It consists of an 18-inch diameter tile and a 12-inch diameter tile extending from the Bromwell drain up across lot 16 in concession 13 from the open channel up to 14 Mile Road. We'd be incorporating 2 catch basins and then adding a new road crossing across 14 Mile to extend the drain to the north side of the road, as well as construct a new catch basin lead along the south side of the road heading west to a trapped area, a low area along the road ditch on the south side. It's not a large watershed, and it's only a couple of landowners who have petitioned, as well as the road department. So I would stop and then open up to questions.
Okay, thank you for that report. Then I'll look to council. Are there any questions on this application? And I see shaking heads and no hands. So if there are no questions, then we do have a motion before us that the council for the municipality of Middlesex Centre receives the Bromwell Drain Branch 9 report from Mike DeVos, Street Associates, dated September 9, 2022, and authorizes that the project proceed, and that the Court of Revision will meet on November 2nd, 2022, and further that Councillors Heffernan, Shipley, and Deputy Mayor Brennan be appointed to sit as members of the Court of Revision, with the Deputy Mayor being the chair. Do I have a mover, please? And a second. Councillors Heffernan and Arts. Is anyone opposed? I don't see any hands. That is carried. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you November 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. We do have another presentation today. We have Soy Suk from who's now the regional manager, pardon me, of Health, Fitness and Aquatics from the YMCA, and he's going to provide us with a partnership update this morning. Good morning, Soy. How are you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Perfect, thank you. And yes, thank you for this opportunity to come in and speak to you today. So we just wanted to provide a quick update of our operations. Obviously COVID-19 had a huge impact on the industry and in our operations specifically here at the Y. So just wanted to give you a quick update on where we're at and how we're rebounding and ramping up back to normal. Do you have a copy of our report there in front of you, or would you like me to share my screen?
We have a slide deck in front of us.
Okay, perfect. So where we're currently at as far as members go, at the time of putting this report together last week, we're at 651 members. Now, as a comparison to the beginning of this year, when we reopened after the January closure, we're at 413. So we have seen quite a bit of uptick over the last few months. Just for comparison, before we actually shut down back in 2020, we're almost at 1,100 members. So we're slowly getting back up there. Our goal for the end of this year, we actually surpassed it. Our goal for the end of this year was 650 members. And the goal for next year, we're hoping to hit 75% of our pre-COVID numbers. So the goal for next year is to finish off the year at 882 members here in Kamoka specifically. As far as the building scans go, you can see from the building access, back in 2019, we had just over 47,000 scans throughout the year. You compare that to the 2020 year where we had many closures and were open only for a few months of the year. We just saw just over 16,000. Last year, again, with the closures and the restrictions on how many people we could have on the floor and things like that, we saw 7,400 scans. And then so far this year, so we've been back in operations back in March. And ever since then, we've had just over 15,000. So we're seeing a lot of traction. And I can speak a little bit about our new membership model that has helped to drive some of this traffic back into the buildings on another slide later on down the road. As far as financial assistance go, we knew that going into or coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, there was going to be a higher need for financial assistance. So just some percentages to compare here. In 2019, we were just shy of 11% of our members were financially assisted through our Strong Kids campaign. In 2020, that number went up to 13%, 2021, almost 17%, and we're currently sitting at about 14% year to date this year. And so we can talk a little bit about that. What we've done coming out of COVID-19, knowing that the financial situations may be difficult for certain families, we've removed the barrier of having to submit any type of paperwork for financial assistance. We're taking people for face value when they come in and letting us know what their annual income is. And from there, we assess their financial situation and offer a price and work with them to ensure that they have access to all of our programs and services here at the Y. And so recognizing that there was a need for financial assistance, we made sure that we remove any barriers within that process. Another thing I wanted to share too is our member engagement score. So we go through a third party called Listen 360. So every time a member scans into our site, it tracks their record, and also a few days later sends out an email for feedback and also for any criticism that they may have. So the 63% is actually an average score for our association. And when we look at nationwide across other YMCAs, it's an average score as well. The challenge with a smaller site, we do see smaller volumes of people scanning in compared to like our Stony Creek site in North London or even our starttech.com. So if at any point we do happen to get a negative score, it does impact that score that percentage pretty heavily. But the 63% is actually pretty average for all of our operations in health, fitness, and aquatics. Next, we'll move on to our program summary. So I'll have Nancy Giffen, our center manager, speak to those points.
Morning, everyone. So as you guys can see, in 2019, we served about 783 campers. That would have included our Kamoka site as well as Ilderton and Arva. Definitely, we saw a decline in that with some restrictions over COVID, and we were not able to serve as many children. But leading up to 2022, our numbers have increased, especially here in Kamoka, and we are seeing just about as many campers as we did previous. The reason for the difference in the 598 is that this summer we weren't able to run Ilderton and Arva just with some logistics and staffing. So we did almost fully fill every one of our open spots, and we're also able to provide financial assistance as well as one-on-one support for special need campers throughout the summer. So we had about 5 of those spots filled this summer. After chatting with Scott and his team a little while ago and knowing that the community needed some help and support with more programs in the area, we've decided to partner up and give them some of our gym space so that they're able to run some of their programs. With that partnership, they have allowed our members to access those programs that are run here as part of their membership. And in turn, we have opened our drop-in programs to Middlesex members for the same rates as they would be paying to access any of your other programs. So we feel with that partnership that we're able to support the community greater.
Thank you, Nancy. So just a few more points to wrap up our presentation before we finish off with the why story. So a few things to highlight as far as our operations go. So when we reopened last year in August of 2021, we did launch a new membership model. So before going into COVID, we had an all-inclusive model where you pay one price, you buy the membership for the year. You're actually committed to it at the very least 6 months. And then at that point, you're able to cancel the membership. So we introduced a new membership model back in 2021. So this was after extensive research with Sagecom, a third-party provider that we've worked with in the past. We did a lot of focus groups within the community, within our membership base, but also within staff to see what this membership model could evolve to. And as a result of that, we launched a tiered membership options. So now there's a household membership, a senior membership, an individual membership, which now includes memberships from 13 years old up to the age of 24. And then there's also a child membership still available. So within those membership categories, there's an essentials, there's an enhanced, and then there's an everything membership. So this allows people to upgrade or downgrade throughout the year based on their training needs. This actually, over the course of this summer, we typically see a lot of cancellations for the summer because people want to be outside and want to be active and they don't use the fitness facility as much. But with this option, they have the option to downgrade to an essentials membership if they were accessing classes or even swimming lessons at one of our close locations here in London. So it allows them to move up and down based on their usage. And we are actually seeing a lot less cancellations now, and we're able to retain those members for a longer period of time. The average, or I mean, not the average, but the commitment length now for a membership is 2 weeks. So if at any point they want to cancel after 2 weeks, they just have to let us know. Otherwise, we automatically just renew that membership going forward until they tell us to stop. And again, they have that flexibility to upgrade or downgrade based on their usage. Another thing we launched too is a Y at Home Plus. So it's a virtual group fitness class option. This was launched across the country, and it was actually our association here in Southwestern Ontario that gave leadership to that for Y Canada. And so we're continuing within that virtual space. I think the fitness industry going forward, I think we have to be relevant in that space. So this is another way that we can bring in some more revenue. So case in point here, Thames Valley District School Board just signed on as a partnership with us with the Y at Home Plus to offer this to all of their employees. So far, over the last 2 months, we've had just under 1,200 folks within the Thames Valley District School Board group sign up with Y at Home. So they access these live classes, so they can do live classes, or they can do pre-recorded classes as well as part of this, as part of the Y at Home Plus package. And this is a subscription service that's also available to our members, but we're also recognizing that there's a lot of corporations, a lot of companies looking to invest in corporate wellness strategies. So this is just another way for them to access the YMCA programs and services at the comfort of their own home. And then just to highlight just our current operating hours. So right now we're running Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 8 p.m. Saturday, we're open from 8 to 1, and Sundays right now we're closed. We are planning to reopen again on Sundays. As you can imagine, you know, the workforce or the labor force has been very challenging for us over the last few months. It's been very challenging to keep staff, but also to recruit staff. So especially at some of our sites with aquatics operations, lifeguard shortages across the region is very prevalent. So we're trying to work really hard to recruit some more folks. But you know, over the course of the pandemic, we've lost 2 years of certifications and renewal of certifications. So we're trying to build that capacity back up at this time. And then again, our walking track again is open up to the community now, Monday to Fridays from 11 to 1 a.m. or 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then just to close off, I'll have Nancy share a why story specifically that came through for our branch here in Kamoka.
So one of our members through Listen 360 wrote this comment. I'm enjoying great support I have from the fitness instructor, Jen, at the Kamoka location. I'm feeling COVID safe. I like all the equipment and the atmosphere the Y provides. I'm new to it, but I know that I will continue to settle in and adapt this Y as a new piece and maintain my physical and mental wellness. Another happy place. I'm feeling blessed, thankful for this opportunity. Thank you. So a bit of a backstory is this member came in and she had just overcome breast cancer. And this was one of the first places that she has actually come out after COVID and joined. She is an amazing member and has such positivity. And she has continued her membership and has brought such joy here. And it's such a pleasure to have members like her come in and just make our day every day.
So then, yeah, we'll open up the floor now to any questions that you may have based on our presentation.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I'll look to Council to start out. Go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation and all of the details. I'm the councillor for Kamoka Kilworth. And nice to hear about the partnership program for more activities. That's one of the things that I hear about is more activities in the community. And great to see that the walking track is back open again for people, for any resident. One of the pieces of feedback that I've had from people, which I totally understand your staffing situation, but I've had, just as a, you know, maybe this will help, I've had people say that they wish that it was open earlier. Is it 8 a.m. every day? Is it every day is 8 or just Saturday is 8?
It's Saturdays at 8, and currently throughout the weekdays, it's 7:30 we open.
Or 7:30, okay. Because a couple of people said to me, you know, I need to work out and be showered in order to head, you know, to be ready to head to work. So just, you know, a little bit of feedback for you if that helps. But otherwise, nice to see the update and all your numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and just to speak on that feedback, our intention is to get back to our regular operating hours. But yeah, we're, as you can imagine, the staffing shortages has really impacted that. So we're doing the best we can. I know we have Nancy here, our center manager, and our membership supervisor, Mel, who have worked some long days just to keep the branch open during these hours. So yeah, our intention is to get back to opening earlier, for sure. We're hopeful for the new year that we have built enough capacity within our team in order to do that.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Arts.
Through your Madam Mayor, Councillor Cates pretty well asked the same question I was going to. I had some people say too they'd like it earlier so they could do it before they go to work, but I also realized staffing issues are a problem for everybody. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I don't see other hands. I just want to congratulate you on bouncing back. Here at the municipality, we've had to do the same kind of thing, change everything and change it again, and then try to get back to whatever normal is. Oh, guess what? It's a new normal. So I appreciate all of the flexibility that you've shown. I was also happy to hear the word partnership and working together with our team as well as the Thames Valley District School Board. I think the services that you provide are valuable, and having an opportunity for residents and of all ages to go and work out, meet others, the physical and mental benefits and the social pieces are all really, really, really critical. It's also heartening to see how COVID maybe wasn't a great thing, but it did provide an impetus to change in a lot of ways. And you noted that e-classes, it's been an opportunity to say, how do we move with the times and how do we change and what can we do to make sure we reach people where they can be reached and keep them part of the network as opposed to losing them and not taking part in anything. So that's awesome too. Also, I heard comments about the walking track as well from people, and it's good to see that it's coming back. I'm wondering, now that you have a tiered membership for different age groups and different services provided, like the matrix is much broader than it used to be. Are you finding that maybe some of the seniors who were not able to come to the Y for whatever reason and maybe walked when they could, are you getting some of those people to sort of shift over into other programming or take part in a broader range of activities?
Yeah, so we have seen some traction within our senior senior demographic. We do have a robust active agers program that runs on Mondays and Fridays that has a huge contingent of folks coming through who are 55 and over. But yeah, we do, for the folks who do come in and walk the track, they do ask us about our membership options, and we talk about that essentials membership. So essentially, if they're only looking to walk the track and use a bit of weights, that essential memberships works out really well for them, and they can come in and access the branch at any time they want to at their convenience. It also gives them access to the to our neighboring sites as well. So if at any point, the walking track is not available, or we have to close it due to unforeseen circumstances, they do have other options within the local area as well that they can use. Our closest branch is the startech.com location, which was previously called the Boswick Community Center. So there's a walking track out there. But as far as the walkers go, yeah, the flexible membership with the tiers has attracted some community members to sign up for membership.
Well, that's great news. So thank you again for the update and information on all the new things that you're trying. Wish you a great summer camp season, and it was great to see you again, Soy, and thank you for your time and presentation.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, moving on to the minutes. The motion before us is that the minutes of the council meeting held on September 21st, 2022 be adopted as printed. Do I have a mover, please? And a second. Councillor Cates and Councillor Heffernan. Thank you. Is anyone opposed? I don't see any hands. That carries then. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have 8 items today. I'm sure we're going to have questions or comments on some of these. I'll look to council then to let me know where they want to start. Councillor Heffernan, do you want to start off?
Through the mayor to, I think it was Scott, with regard to item number 1. I'm just wondering how many we actually had, how many applications we actually had to provide tenders, and like, was there quite a disparity in the range of costs, or just curious, a little bit more detail?
Yes. Good morning, Scott.
Good
You're
morning.
seeing now.
Good morning, Council. Just sorry, I was just waiting to be connected there, but I did hear the question. Through the mayor to Councillor Heffernan, we had 9 proposals come in as part of this process. They were all, I have to say, they were all very solid proposals. The pricing did vary throughout each, which was as expected. But with the evaluation committee, we went through and assessed and looked for the top 3. Price was not, it was only 20% of the evaluation. So we did look at their experience and their history and how they put the proposal together, the methodology, their approach to the project, etc. So we were confident with the 3 that we selected. The top 3 we selected for interviews. Through the interview process, all 3 were fantastic. I think we would have been happy with either one of them, but obviously we needed to make a one choice here, and the Benton Group did come out ahead. We felt they had a significant municipal office renovation experience in their portfolio, and we had a great discussion with them, lots of ideas and things that they brought to the table. So we're looking forward to working with them.
Thanks, Scott.
Before you go, I'll just look around. Is there any other question on that item before we let Scott go? Okay, I don't see any hands. Thank you, Scott. Is there anything else? Go ahead, Councillor Arts.
Through your Madam Mayor, this one is to Rob about 6.5 Guys versus McRobert Municipal Drain. I assume that since that contract's been awarded, there's corn in those fields that the contractor's not going to show up, I hope, before Mr. McRoberts gets his corn off, because that cut right through that farm. That was just an observation. I know usually drains don't move that fast, but when you think they won't, they do.
So sorry, Councillor Arts, while I was being connected, I did miss a little clip of what you said. I caught the tail end about the concern about the corn, but I think I missed a little bit of it.
Yeah, I was just making for sure that Mr. McRoberts, they don't go going through a cornfield that's almost ready to take off, because it really ruins trying to get anything done when you go diagonally across the farm. I assume that won't happen, but never hurts to ask.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Dan Anderson, and we can certainly, that would certainly be the intent, to schedule the work after the corn is off, right? It's always the intent to have as minimal impact as possible. So certainly we'll go back and have that discussion.
Thank you. And I got
Another one? Rob?
no, I'm done with Rob.
Okay, no one else for, oh, wait just a second. Done with, okay, I think we're done, Rob. Thank you so much. So go ahead with your second one, then I'll look to Deputy.
Through you, Madam Mayor, my second one is for Michael on 6.8 adoption or official plan. The province lingering on, it's kind of like you're waiting for the hammer to drop on our heads, like they're going to do another thing like they did with granting more powers to the mayors. Or...
through the chair to Councillor Arts. Yeah, the correspondence we received is pretty generic in general. So we thought it would be beneficial to allow council an update to see where things are at. It's been quite a few months since we adopted the official plan on our level. However, it does put a bit of a kink in the long-range plan, but as noted in the staff report, I'm working with the director of planning of the county to see how we can go about making some changes that were asked by this council to implement into the official plan. It doesn't, with the province's decision to put things on hold, it doesn't prohibit us from making some of the policy changes. I think for now we try and progress and move forward and work towards the changes and putting them into effect.
If I may jump in, yesterday, oh, are you going to address that? Okay, at County Council yesterday, the question was raised in the appropriate section of the agenda. Councillor Burkhart Jessen asked Minister Stephen Clark about this item when she went to a meeting recently, and apparently it's sort of like within the next couple of months. It's not going to be a long wait, I guess, but at this point, I guess even 60 days is a long wait. So that's just FYI. And that's it for you? Okay, and Deputy Mayor, I saw your hand.
Couple of just comments. I see the OPP annual billing is down a little bit, which I guess is good for us, but I think one of our major complaints that we continue to get from residents all the time is speed on the roads. And I know they have a traffic division now that is dedicated to doing that, but just coming up today with an axe open, nicely asphalted, and it's now a raceway. So I just hope that their patrols for speed and that will continue and even maybe be stepped up a little bit, because it's pretty bad out there. So that's just a comment on that. The other thing I wanted to ask the fire chief about fire prevention and training about renewing the contract with North Middlesex. We're looking at perhaps hiring a second person in that area, fire investigation, and that are we stretching our resources to the limit by doing a bunch of work outside our municipality? Is that starting to become a concern? And if it is, then are we wise to keep renewing these contracts with other municipalities if we're being stretched so badly in our own municipality?
Through you, Mayor, to Deputy Mayor Brennan. No, I don't believe we're stretched thin with investigations or inspections.
right now, to get through the building stock, and with COVID, we are behind. But once we do get through that building stock and all of those initial inspections are done, and we get into that cyclical rotation, that 3-year rotation, the workload of our fire prevention officer will decrease by approximately 1/3. So having those additional municipalities on the agreement will fill the time. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be overborne with work.
Nothing else? Okay, I see Councillor Scott has a question. The floor is yours.
Yep, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to agree with Deputy Mayor Brennan. The speed out there, I'm hearing that day after day after day. So I think everybody's got the same problem in all our municipality has suffering from the same thing. And I don't know whether it's working with the OPP going forward, if that's all the answers, but I think it'd be a good place to start because, like I said, I hear this daily about all the streets and people are really seem to be getting upset with it. And I'm not sure what the cure is, but we have to look at some tactics to try to combat it for sure.
Okay, thank you. I don't think, based on what I've been hearing from AMO members and so forth too, this is not just Middlesex Centre, Middlesex County, or Southwestern Ontario. I don't know what the reason there is, but it seems to be everywhere. So good points. Thank you. And Councillor Cates, I see your hand.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I just was going to comment on the OPP, that I found it to be very interesting, the breakdown of all of the data and the breakdown of how they actually do their invoicing, like how they calculate it. I thought that it was a very interesting report. And just to add, it's the same in Kamoka Kilworth. And that's what I say to people about the speeding too, is that it's not just here, it's everywhere. And really it starts with each and every one of us doing our part to slow down, because it is our community, families and children that we're putting in harm's way. So that's what I wanted to. Thank you.
Okay, good point. Thank you. If there's nothing else, then on that note, we have a motion before us that consent items numbers 6.1 through 6.8 listed on the October 12, 2022 agenda be adopted as recommended. I'm looking for a mover. Councillor Scott, Councillor Cates. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, that carries then. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to our staff reports. The first item we have today is there's Rob already. This is Old River Road Consultant Award, and I'll let you present your report, Rob.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. So through the mayor to the council, this is a report regarding Old River Road and the Consultant Award for the engineering design and contract administration. I'm very pleased to be bringing this forward. As everybody knows, this project has been around for quite some time and dates back to 2011 when the initial Schedule B EA was undertaken, and then a further EA was undertaken in 2018 as part of the Glendon Drive Schedule C EA. So we went out to a competitive procurement, or through a competitive procurement process, went out to RFP, looking for consultants to bid on the design and contract admin for this project. We did receive multiple bids back, which was great. We had 6 submissions. So before I get to that, but just a bit of a background, I'll get into the selected proponent and kind of the rationale that we used. So the Old River Road, obviously it's north of Glendon Drive, and it goes up and ties into Pullum Road. This area needs to be reconstructed, and a particular concern is some slope stability issues along the river. And as we all know, there's also somewhat regular flooding concerns in the area with spring thaws. So as part of this design work, the consultant will be looking at several factors along the road. Some key factors are looking at the improved slope stability of the particular area around the curve, looking at intersection improvements, particularly at Glendon Drive, looking at some flood resiliency improvements where possible. And we do understand that will be difficult given the nature of the area that it's located in a flood prone area. Certainly the intent is not to eliminate the threat, but to see if there's any measures where we can help minimize that threat of regular flooding. We'd also be looking to do stormwater drainage improvements to increase the longevity of the road. There's some areas where there are some drainage improvements that are definitely required. To undertake the road reconstruction as outlined in the environmental assessment from 2018, there are some property acquisitions that are required. So in Stantec's EA that was produced, they did identify approximate property acquisitions. Municipal staff have had discussions with all those landowners to date, kind of opening that door and having initial discussions. And as we work through this process with the selected consultant, the intent will be to refine those property acquisition areas, or if possible, we would reduce them, but the intent would certainly be to minimize any acquisitions required. And then the consultant would also facilitate public consultation. We'd have a public meeting so that residents in the area and anybody else interested can attend and see what the proposed plans are and have their input. Then the consultant would obviously help with the tender package and contract admin during the course of the construction. So the intent is that engineering design would commence this year and it will carry into 2023, and with construction likely to start in 2024. Of course, that's subject to working out all the land acquisitions that are required for construction to take place, whether or not there's any further delay there. So with the consultant selection, as I mentioned, there were 6 submissions. Submissions were generally good. The approach that was taken was an evaluation to come up with a score, a technical score for each of the submissions. Those scoring less than 70, less than a 70 for a technical score, then those bids would not be opened. So there was only 3 of the 6 that achieved a score of 70 or higher. Of those 3 bids, IVI Group had the lowest price and overall had the best evaluated bid score, which if you took a look at the report, it's essentially the actual bid price divided by the technical score provides the evaluated bid score. So it's a method to try to balance out the value, to come up with the best value of the submission, looking at the bid price and the technical score of the consultant. So we're very comfortable with the award to IVI Group. The reason we brought this to council is all of this was a pre-approved project in the 2022 capital budget. The value of the consulting submission is approximately $530,000. Sorry, $529,435.59. However, the budget that we had identified in the 2022 and 2023 budgets for the engineering component of this was $457,000. So we recognize that this is an increase of about $70,000 over what we had projected. However, it does provide a good value, and we've gone through the best value process. We're comfortable with this, and this is not out of line with what we've seen with other projects with the increases in prices. As far as the impact on the 2022 budget, because of the timing of the work, there actually will be carryover from 2022 into 2023, and we will adjust the 2023 capital budget accordingly to capture these costs. So we're seeking council approval to move forward with awarding this project to IVI Group in the value noted. Happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Okay, thank you for that presentation, Rob. I'll look to council then. Questions? Councillor Cates and the deputy.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Rob. So to clarify, so this is the Old River Road detailed design, and I look at the drawing, and the drawing is, of course, how it is now. Is this detailed design going to take into consideration the movement of the road by Glendon? Is that part of the situation to be taken care of here?
So through Madam Mayor to Councillor Cates, if I'm understanding correctly, that you're referring to the intersection at Glendon Drive with Old River Road?
Yes.
Yeah. So part of this design will be to look at the redesign of that intersection. what we have not yet determined is whether the construction of that intersection will be completed as part of the construction of the entire length, or whether it'll be completed as part of the reconstruction of Glendon Drive. But certainly from a design side, it's something that would be looked at because there are some property impacts in that area as well.
I wondered if it wouldn't, as you say, it might not be part of this construction. I wondered that. And not to get into details at all, but is the land acquisition on the north of the road, or is it the land by the water?
Yep, that's a great question. So I guess it varies.
Okay.
The road allowance in this area is very much non-standard. So the property acquisition areas that were identified in the EA, were based on the alignment, and through detailed design, the intent would be to more or less follow that. But if there's any tweaks, those might be adjusted. Some certainly, I would say there's probably land on both sides of the road, just depending on what section we're looking at.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay, and next I have Deputy Mayor Brennan, and I also have Councillor Scott after.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Rob, thanks for getting this going, because this has been an ongoing project for a long period of time. And one of the biggest problems we've had with this road over the years is the big truck traffic that went down through this area and pounded this road. And I think we've got it stopped now with the signs that are up there. Once the road's redone, are we going to try to maintain to keep the truck traffic off this road? Because my concern is we spend a lot of money and redo everything, and then if the trucks start going back down there, we're going to be back in the same situation we are now. And as I say, I think we've got it stopped now, so I'm not sure what you or the consultants can do to keep it that way, but I think we need to.
So through Madam Mayor to Deputy Mayor, yeah, no, I understand, and I think you're absolutely right that traffic has been greatly reduced with the closure that's in place. We would be looking. There was obviously a preferred alternative through the EA. Currently, the way forward is to follow that. Not to say that we won't look as we get into detailed design whether or not there's any rationale to deviate from that, but currently the intent would be to follow that. There are other ways it could be. It could be through a bylaw. It could be a no truck route, similar like that we did in one area in Kilworth. However, of course, the issue then becomes enforcement, right? But we can certainly look at measures that may help that.
Okay, Councillor Arts.
Through your mayor to Rob, this is going to be a pretty expensive project for the length of the road. I realize that, but I want to make for sure that we go far enough away from the riverbank, because there's no point in spending a lot of money and having the same issue come up in 10 years. So if we can't get the right property acquisitions and the distances, there's no point in doing the project. So that was just a comment. Thank you.
Okay. And I have Councillor Scott.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Rob. I was going to mention too, I've spoken to some of the residents over the years, just because I know some that live on that road, and I think it's going to be important that we work with them. It is a ton of money, and I'm looking at it thinking, holy mackerels, if we're going to improve it and make it better, we're going to have the same problem we do on all the other roads we improve. People are going to be speeding through there, and I know that's not what we want. And so I'm wondering, like, with these guys looking at, is there any way that they can look at making that more suitable for, like I said, slower traffic, right? It doesn't look like an area we're going to have a lot of growth in the future. So I'm still questioning, it's a ton of money to spend to create a roadway for, a few residents down there. I don't want to speak out of line for the residents, but I'm sure the message I was kind of getting is we'd like to see a simpler solution and possibly keep people off. So far, they love the road closed. And I've had the residents say, yeah, it's been the best ever. And so I think we really do have to take that into concern, because there's no need to have trucks or all this traffic going through there ever. So, with fixing the road, I realize we have to fix it, but maybe we got to look at a design that's not so inviting for people to drive through, which kind of sounds bad, but maybe even gravel, you know what I mean? Like gravel, I always said some of these roads we're doing, everybody wants them paved and done and looking pretty, but that creates our next problem. People, they speed through them. You widen them and make them smooth the way they go. And that's kind of a windy country road. So I hope that they can look at some solutions that way, and maybe they'll be less costly in the end. Even the engineering, I'm shocked at how much it is, like 530,000. This is just to get us a design and get us to the place where we're going to spend, I'm assuming, some millions on the road itself. Is that true?
Yes, through Mayor to Councillor Scott. So it is in large part the design, but it does also include the contract administration during the construction. So having a field inspector right there as well. But yes, I mean, absolutely, it's a large number. I've heard some of the same comments from residents. I know one resident told me that he'd be happy if it was just pulverized and put back to gravel, right? That try to limit the vehicles on there. Certainly, we, you know, a bit of, I guess, push and shove here, right? It's ideally we'd like to be able to move the road away from the river a little bit, but then that means more property acquisition. So it depends on, you know, so is the solution to shift it? Is the solution to stabilize on the river side? That's the types of things that the consultant's going to be looking at, and certainly depending on how amenable the property owners are, will play a role in this too. So.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just hope they do, you know, work tightly with the residents there, because like I said, it doesn't look, I don't think it's an area that we're looking at growth. Yeah. So, you know, we're actually just looking for a solution to, you know, to get these people in and out of their houses. And so hopefully they can work with them tightly on that, and they'll be all happy with it, I hope. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have Councillor Cates.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor, to Rob. I want to add, because Councillor Scott brought it up, I totally agree on that we need to work with the residents there, which I know that you are, Rob, that you and Andrew are doing that. And, you know, I know that what the EA says that you touched on, and you know, I don't think that they necessarily like what the EA says. And so I just want to say, you know, as follow-up, I just want to say that I hope that we can take their thoughts and you know, into consideration on the road open, closing one end, closing the other end, etc. You know, maybe we can meet with them or something like that too. Anyways, to take their thoughts into deep consideration. Thank you, Rob.
Last call. Is anyone else has something covered? Okay, I don't see any hands. The motion before us is that the Old River Road detailed design be awarded to IBI Group in the amount of $529,485.59, excluding HST, and that the mayor and the clerk be authorized to execute the next necessary contract documents. And I'm looking for a mover, please, and a second. Deputy Mayor Cates, seconding. Opposed? I don't see hands. Okay, that is carried then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rob, for all of that. And now, are you presenting the other report for Andrew's? Oh, okay, there we go. There's Andrew. When you're ready, Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for this opportunity to present to you today. The purpose of this report is to provide an overview of the municipality's winter operations plan. The winter operations plan is not a legislated requirement, but considered a best practice living document. The plan outlines the different requirements for winter maintenance responses, based on roadway conditions and classification. The thresholds for response times identified in this report follows the provincially legislated minimum maintenance standards. The minimum maintenance standards legislate maintenance items and response times by road classification. Road classification is determined based on vehicle volumes and posted speed limits. Higher volume roads with higher speed limits are higher class roads, with class 1 roads being the highest and class 6 roads being the lowest. The municipality currently maintains 165 lane kilometers of class 3 roads, 748 lane kilometers of class 4 roads, 103 lane kilometers of class 5 roads, and 102 lane kilometers of class 6 roads, for a total of 1,142 lane kilometers. This is in addition to 30 kilometers of sidewalks. The municipality is also legislated to monitor roadway conditions through a representative patrol. This patrol is undertaken once per shift, so 3 times per weekday and twice on weekends and holidays. This representative patrol includes a cross-section of different road classifications and surface types. In addition to the representative patrol, the municipality also uses 7 road cameras to monitor roadway conditions at various locations in real time for condition information, as well as 4 weather forecasts per day from the weather network using a local weather monitoring station. This information from the representative patrol, road cameras, and weather forecasts are used by staff to deploy resources and address roadway conditions in a timely and efficient manner. The municipality's transportation division provides a full suite of winter maintenance services, which include sanding and salting, plowing, ice blading, snow removal, and parking lot plowing of municipal public parking lots and public works and engineering facilities. There are 16 plow routes and 2 sidewalk plow routes. These routes cover all municipal roadways and sidewalks. Equipment and staff resources are broken into 3 regular scheduled shifts. A morning shift, which starts at 5 a.m. and runs to 1:30 p.m. A day shift that runs from 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And an evening shift that runs from 3:30 p.m. to 12 midnight. On weekends and holiday, there is 1 10-hour patrol shift. This shift starts at 5 a.m. and runs to 3:30 p.m. This shift monitors roadway conditions and advises the on-call supervisor if a response is required. The 3 weekday shifts provide 19 hours of continuous scheduled winter maintenance coverage, ensuring resources are available to be deployed as needed. In the event of a significant weather event, the on-call supervisor may start shifts earlier or run shifts later, depending on the nature of the event. All of the winter maintenance equipment is equipped with a GPS-based automated vehicle locating. This service provides vehicle location to staff, as well as tracks whether the plow is up or down and if the salter or sander is on or off. It also takes photos of roadway conditions. This information is stored on a cloud-based program and is accessible to staff as required to demonstrate municipal compliance with the legislated minimum maintenance standards and to minimize any exposure to liability. Depending on the winter weather event, it can take up to 24 hours to clear all of the municipal roadways. And in the event of a continuous snowfall, it may take even longer. All sidewalks are cleared within 48 hours unless there is a continuous snowfall, in which case it will take longer as well. All staff receive training on snowplow operation, front-end loaders operation, and staff engaged in patrolling receive training related to patrolling requirements as well. Staff are provided an opportunity to review their routes prior to winter and encouraged to stake and mark locations to aid in navigation during adverse weather conditions and to help reduce plow damage to sod in municipal boulevards. Due to the nature of winter weather, the deployment of staff and equipment resources can vary significantly. This winter operations plan and report lays the groundwork for how weather conditions will be monitored and how the resources are to be deployed. This concludes my presentation at this time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you for that presentation. I will look to council then for questions. I see lots of hands. I'm going to start over here this time. Go ahead, Councillor Heffernan.
Through the mayor to Andrew. We did have a discussion earlier, like a couple months ago. I'm just wondering, when you have your patrollers go out, do they look at the north-south roads? I'm thinking specifically, there may not be a snow event per se. However, as we know, the winds come from the west, and our north-south roads, such as Hyde Park and Van Eyck, can get quite clogged by early evening or even mid-afternoon, and yet without snow, they're not being looked at to be plowed. Can you comment on that, Andrew?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Heffernan. Yes, so the legislated patrol that I mentioned, the representative patrol, it's done once per shift, regardless of whether there is snow or ice on the roadway. So they do check for blowing snow, icy spots at intersections and other measures as well. In addition to that, we also have the road cameras, and a number of them are positioned on north-south roads as well to monitor for blowing snow or spots that we know typically see more snow or ice than other locations as well.
Thanks, and I have another question. So I know the operational mapping, you showed me that, and it makes sense from an operational standpoint. We have a large municipality, and of course, weather is unpredictable. But specifically, I'm concerned about the timing of the shifts. Buses. We have a lot of buses on roads in rural areas, and for example, Medway probably starts, I'm going to say 6:30 possibly. And I have heard from different residents that they're quite concerned, their kids getting on the buses and the road might not be plowed till 11 a.m. And themselves, they could be commuters, or they could be small business people who have to get to work or are running an operation from their property. I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering if there should be an adjustment to the shifts. Like I said, weather's unpredictable, so you can't know ahead of time, but I think the buses especially should be considered.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Heffernan's question. The on-call supervisor certainly has the authority and ability to call staff in earlier as required, should weather conditions warrant. Based off of current staffing levels and equipment levels, it would be difficult to get out there and clear all the roads, before 11 a.m. Let's say if we started everybody at 5, we have a large territory to cover, and there is some runtime out to various routes as well from the operations center. As you mentioned, we do have a large area to cover. We do prioritize clearing based off of the road classification as well. So if you're on a class 6 road, you're not likely to see a plow until later in the day, as opposed to somebody who lives on a class 3 road. Due to the volume and speed, we would be out there quicker. So without knowing specifics of bus routes and things like that as well, it's hard to say justify why a lower volume road that's a bus route gets plowed before a higher volume road, that for people to get to work. And I hope that answers your question.
Well, it does, but at the same time, you can classify a road whatever, but if you still have buses going on there, which are carrying the kids, and we want them to stand safely at the side of the road, I'm still concerned. Thanks.
Through your Madam Mayor to Andrew, this is more of a comment and a plug for our snowplow operators. Like I've been told, with the 2 blades down, they're running about 7 meters wide. And when people put their wheelie bins out for garbage, I'd like the residents to sort of line up what's on the other side of the road. And if there's a post on the other side of the road and you're less than 21 meters, the snowplow just doesn't fit. They have to either move bins or they might accidentally hit bins. So maybe we could get a public awareness campaign out there, like have your wheelie bin, so if it's a tight road that they don't line up with that hydro pole or that mailbox on the other side of the road, because I know the road department would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, and Councillor Cates?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Andrew. Good report, good presentation. I just have a question here and just a comment on what Councillor Heffernan said. I guess for some of the people giving you comments, it's going to depend on what kind of road that they live on. In the class of highway, as Andrew has on his report. My question is, on the report you show class of highway, and you have 1 to 5, and then the depth and the hours. So one of the questions is, you don't have the class 6. In the other report, it shows a class 6 highway. So there's no 6 on here to show that depth and hours. And I'm just curious, so 10 centimeters, 24 hours later, class 5. I'm curious if you can just give me an example. Is that just a little lane that nobody uses, or I'm just curious where that would be? Thank you, Andrew.
No problem. So class 6 roads are typically cul-de-sacs or rural country roads that see very low volume. So they're not busy roads at all.
And is that, what's the difference between a class 6 and a class 5?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kate's question. The classification is based off of volume and speed. So through the minimum maintenance standards, there is a table that outlines the speed and volume classification and the corresponding road classification as well. So I don't have that in front of me, but that is how it is based.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Okay, anyone else? Well, thank you for that report. It's a nice summary, an integrated summary and overview of all of our roads and the reasons for classifying things in certain ways. A lot of content in there, so appreciate that report. And if there are no further questions, then the motion before us is that report PWE 35/2022 regarding Middlesex Centre Winter Operations Plan be received, and that Council endorse the Winter Operations Planning document for the municipality of Middlesex Centre as attached to report PWE 35/2022 in Appendix A. Okay, a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Cates and okay, Deputy Mayor Brennan, I saw you. Okay, is anyone opposed? And I don't see any. Oh, you're opposed? Okay. One opposed, and the motion is carried. Thank you for that. And now we can move on to our planning item. We have Dan Fitzgerald, our county planner, who's going to give the overview of 15675 9 Mile Road. Floor is yours when you're ready, Dan.
For the chair, thanks, Madam Mayor, and hello to members of council today. So the consent application that we're hearing as part of the staff reports is B8/2022. And this consent application was previously heard by council on September 7th at the planning meeting, whereby the applicant was asking to remove lands from an abutting agricultural parcel to add to their surplus dwelling lot. At the request of the applicant, the application was referred back to staff to permit the applicant the ability to amend their request based on the conversation being held, as well as the recommendation by staff. The applicant has now amended the request to remove a 480 square meter portion of land from the agricultural park rear, the surplus dwelling lot. And in order to compensate for the potential loss of agricultural lands, they have also proposed to adjust the property boundary on the east side of the lot by the same 480 square meters, which would be transferred back to the agricultural park. So based on the revised minor boundary adjustment, there is no net loss to the agricultural lands through the proposed adjustment by the consent application. So given the above, I am recommending that the amended consent application, which is B8/2022, be approved. Since there's no net impact to the balance of agricultural activity, the applicant would be required, as a condition of consent, to submit a zoning bylaw amendment application, which would revise the reflected boundaries of the zones based on the adjustment of boundaries. Should council approve the request. So thank you, and I'm certainly available to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you for the report. I'll look to councillors. Are there any questions on this file? I don't see any hands. So we have a motion before us that consent application B-8/2022 filed by Gloria and Robert Costello on behalf of Michael and Walter Moyer in order to permit the adjustment of a boundary by conveying 480 square meters from each parcel and adding it to the neighboring parcels so as to have no net decrease or increase in the land area between the lots legally described as part lot 5, London concession 8, and part lot 5, London Concession 8, Part 1, on the reference plan 33R 20-597 in the County of Middlesex, the municipality of Middlesex Centre be granted, and that the application for consent be subject to the 9 conditions that are noted in the staff report, and further that the reasons for granting the consent application include that the proposal is consistent with the provincial policy statement, it conforms to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Centre official plan, and subject to the conditions, the proposal would comply with the Middlesex Centre comprehensive zoning bylaw. Do I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Arts. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that is carried then. Thank you for that presentation. We can now move out of our regular meeting into the Committee of Adjustment. The motion is that Council adjourn its regular meeting at 10:36 a.m. in order to sit as the Committee of Adjustment under Section 45 of the Planning Act to consider the minor variance applications listed on the October 12th, 2022 agenda. So just in opening the meeting, oh, sorry, I forgot to, jumping right ahead. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder to move us into the Committee of Adjustment? Councillor Cates and Councillor, Deputy Mayor Brennan. So the normal preamble, members of the public that wish to receive further notification of any minor variance application being considered today, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcentre.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments expressed in written material presented are a matter of public record for full disclosure. If you have any questions on the applications being heard today, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on file. Any members of the public that have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 10 minutes to address council and provide comments on the applications. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our R-zone policy, we remind all of our meeting attendants to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. The order of proceedings is that I'll ask the planner to explain the purpose of the application and hearing and to present their staff report. Then the applicant or their agent has the opportunity to speak to the application. Any of members of the public who have registered will be asked for their comments. Please state your name. And the municipal clerk will note additional comments received from circulated agencies and the public not included in the planning report. Then the committee may ask questions of the applicant or of staff. And finally, I'll ask for motions regarding the applications. So the first item before us is again Dan Fitzgerald's file, and it is for a an application for minor variance. Go ahead when you're ready, Dan.
For the chair, thanks, Mayor and members of the committee. So the first application for minor variance before the committee today is application A22/2022, which is an application seeking to increase the maximum permissible size for an accessory building on the plans. So the applicant is requesting a maximum size of 47 square meters, 5 square feet, which is represented by 4.35% lot coverage for all accessory buildings, whereas the bylaw generally permits a maximum size of the lesser 50 square meters or 3% lot coverage, which in this particular case would be 32.4 square meters. Therefore, they are asking for relief of an additional 14.6 square meters on the land. The effect of the proposal is to permit the construction of an accessory building in the formats of a pool shed as by the applicant. The property is located on the northeast side of Winona Road, north of the intersection at Winona and Candlewood Lane in Kilworth. The lands are surrounded by residential development in the format of single detached dwellings. It is designated a settlement area in the county official plan, residential in Middlesex Centre's official plan, and is zoned the urban residential first density zone, or the UR1, in the comprehensive zoning bylaw. The applicant is proposing to place the structure in the rear yard of the property, which is located fully behind the dwelling on the south interior and rear yard lot lines. it would meet the required interior and rear yard setbacks. Upon circulation of the application, the municipality did not receive comments from the public. Also, I did not receive any objections from internal or external stakeholders. In review of the application against the 4 tests of a minor variance in the Planning Act, I am of the opinion that the proposed increase in size is considered minor in nature, would meet the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and is considered an appropriate use of land, given that it is directly associated with the residential. Given the above, I am recommending application A22/2022 be approved, subject to the condition that the accessory building be placed in the same general location as depicted on the site plan, which was provided by you, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. The applicant has not registered to speak and no members of the public have requested to delegate. No additional comments have been received. Are there any questions from any members of the committee? I don't see anything, so we have a motion before us. That is that the minor variance application A-22/2022 filed by Greg Edgesvant on behalf of Justin Young for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to permit a maximum overall size of 47 square meters or 4.35% lot coverage for all accessory buildings for a property legally described as Lot 15, Plan M339 in the municipality of Middlesex Center, County of Middlesex, and municipally known as 62 Winona Road be granted, subject to the following conditions: that the building be constructed in the same general location as shown in the applicant's site plan attached to the report, and that the reasons for granting the minor variance application include that the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. It's minor in nature, and it represents appropriate development on the subject property. I'm looking for a mover, please, and a seconder. I have Councillor Cates and Councillor Scott. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, that motion is carried. And if you'd like to go ahead with your next file, please, Dan.
For the chair, thanks. So the second file that we have is application for minor variance A20/2022, which was filed by Zanka Priamo on behalf of landowner, which was seeking a reduction to the minimum interior side yard setbacks for a single detached dwelling. So council may recall that the item was heard at the September 7th meeting and then was referred back to staff. Have further discussions with the applicant regarding the interior side yard setbacks. So as a refresher, the zone, the UR1-3 zone, which applies to the land, does require a minimum 3-meter interior side yard setback on both sides of the property, whereas the applicant in this case is requesting 1.8 meters or 5.9 feet. The applicant has gone back to review their request and essentially has decided not to change their variance request at 1.8 meters. They have, however, provided 2 options that were attached to the planning report, which show the potential location of the dwelling based on the discussion that was heard by the previous meeting. The original location of the home was shown at approximately 10 meters back from the road. However, they have also provided an alternative sketch, which does show the house pushed back even further at 16 meters. I am of the opinion that generally that the requested minor variance does meet 4 tests of
We'll just give them a minute, see if we can get back on.
back as requested by the committee. I would note that in both scenarios. Oh, can everyone hear me?
Off and on. You've been breaking up a little bit at the end.
Let me turn off my video, it may help out. So as noted, the applicant has proposed 2 options to the committee. in both options, the new home, based on the existing setback of the dwelling on the lands to the south, is generally set back behind the existing dwelling. So really, it's up to committee to determine if they do want to add a condition to require the house to set back on option 2 or option 1. If they choose, and if you do want to do that, you would need add a amended motion for the committee to add that condition to require an enhanced setback. So given the above, I am of the opinion that the minor variance does meet the Planning Act tests, and am recommending that it be approved.
Okay, thank you for that. Sorry, I turned it off and it wasn't back on. So the applicants are going to comment on the application, and I see that Ms. Crowley is here.
Yes, through the chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Caitlin Crowley,
Good morning.
planner with Zelenka Priamo. I'm here as the authorized agent for this application. Also in attendance, I do have Casey Kulchicki, who is a senior planner with us. I just wanted to first thank Dan for the summary and working with us on this application. After this application was brought to council back on September 7th, we did prepare a figure kind of showing the proposed relationship between the existing building at 22700 Kaboka Road, as well as the proposed dwelling on the subject lands. The proposed building is consistent with abutting residential properties, and based on best urban design practices, is located to create a more consistent street line of single detached dwellings on Kamoka Road. The garage on the abutting property has already been removed as part of the original severance, and the proposed driveway access would be reconfigured to best use that single access on Kamoka Road. And based on these, we are of the opinion that the original proposed location for the proposed dwelling would be a best fit. And we are simply kind of seeking the 1.8 meter interior side yard setbacks through this application. Casey and I will be here to answer any questions that the public or committee might have regarding this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that presentation then. There are no other members of public who've requested to delegate, and no additional comments have been received by the clerk. I will look to the committee then to discuss the options. Councillor Cates.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I had it all planned what I was going to say, and then one last thing that you said kind of messed me up. So I'll carry on with I want to say thank you for revising this to further setback. I'm just not sure if you just said that you liked the first one better. On the second drawing, on your revised sketch, when you zoom in, yes, the existing carport is gone, but I think it also shows you how much better it looks with them only having that narrow property line there. So I want to thank you for doing that. And I like and agree with the 16.83 meter setback, and I'm fine with the smaller side yard setback. So that's my thought, and I thank you for it.
Is there anyone else? Councillor Arts has a question.
Through you, Madam Mayor, this might, I believe it's for Dan. I just want a bit more clarity. When you said the original one was 10 meters, on the blueprints, it looks like 11.5, and the revised, you said 16, and the blueprint 16.83. I don't know if you were just rounding off, or I just wanted clarity on that. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor, you're correct. I couldn't remember the exact distance off the top of my head, so I was just giving a generalized where it would be set back, but it is based on their sketches, 11.5 for the first option, and 16.83 meters for the
Okay, thank you.
Kate?
Sorry, having said all that, so I think that we would have to ask for an amendment to the. Thank you.
Dan, if you could clarify what council needs to do under each scenario, I guess, whether with the setback and the side yard setback, so that we're voting on the right one.
through the chair to committee. So if committee should choose to require an enhanced setback to the 16.83 meters as shown in the second drawing, a motion would need to be added or voted on to add the condition that the main dwelling be required to be set back 16.83 meters from the front.
Okay, so are we clear then? So we have a motion before us. If we want to change that distance, then we need to have a motion amended to vote on that. Do I see any hands? Councillor Cates.
Well, I vote to amend the existing to add the front yard setback of 16.83.
Okay. I should just stop and ask, does anyone else have any questions at all or clarification that's needed on what we've just, what's been presented or okay, we don't. So now we have a request to amend the motion to include the enhanced setback 16.83 meters. Yeah. Okay, so we have a mover. We have a seconder for that, Councillor Heffernan. Is anyone opposed to the changing of that motion that was presented to us to the revised version as noted by Councillor Cates? Oh, I see a question here. The motion before us now is to amend the motion on which we will vote.
Okay, so we're voting on it. So I don't agree with that.
That's right.
All
If
right.
you don't want to move it back, then you will say no. Okay, and then we will have to vote on that. Okay, so this will fail and we'll vote. Okay, is everyone clear on what we're voting on? Okay, all of those in favor in moving the house back in 16.1. To do that. Okay, is that clear what the clerk said? Can you hear all of this, Councillor Scott? Are you clear? Yeah, I'll let the clerk restate everything for the record so it's absolutely perfectly clear.
Thank you. Through the chair, Councillor Cates has proposed an amendment in the form of an additional condition. And that condition would be that the main dwelling be set back a minimum of 16.83 meters from the front property line. That amendment as proposed by Councillor Cates has been seconded by Councillor Heffernan. So it's now on the table for your consideration. I'll turn the meeting back to the chair now.
Thank you. So I will call the vote then. All of those in favor of the motion, please indicate that you are in favor. I see 4 hands. I don't, and just confirm opposed. And that is carried. So the motion before us now is to, I can read it as presented here and we'll adjust that one piece. The motion before us is that minor variance application A22/2022 filed by Greg. Oopsie, I read the wrong one. I'm on the next one. Minor variance application A2022 filed by Linda Priamo on behalf of Angie Pioli for relief of the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish a minimum interior side yard setback of 5.9 feet on both sides for a property legally described as lot 4 to 5 and part of lot 3, block R, plan 109 in the county of Middlesex, municipality of Middlesex to be granted. And that
Through the chair, very happy to read. So to restate that again, the additional condition which was voted on and approved in the form of amendment is and that
a condition be added that the main dwelling be set back a minimum of 16.83 meters from the front property line. Thank you.
Thank you. And that the reasons for granting the minor variance application A20-2022 include the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's official plan. The request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Center's comprehensive zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature and it represents appropriate development on the subject property. I'll call the vote on that, please. All in favor? And opposed? None? Okay, that is carried then. Thank you for your patience and thank you for presenting that, Dan. So now we need to have a motion that the Committee of Adjustment adjourn at 12:56 a.m. and council resume the regular meeting. Mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Deputy Mayor Brennan and Councillor Cates. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, and we're back in regular council session. There are no notices of motion today. We have 6 correspondence items. Is there anything here anyone would like to comment on or raise questions about? I don't see any, so our correspondence motion is that the council for the municipality of Middlesex Centre receives correspondence items 10.1 through 10.6 listed on the October 12, 2022 agenda as information. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Scott and Councillor Arts. Is anyone opposed? Seeing none, other business. Oh, pardon me, I skipped over county council update from yesterday. If you'd like to brief us.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The meeting itself wasn't very long. We had a fairly lengthy in-camera session, but we approved KPMG as the auditors for the county from 2022 to 2026. And that's not just the county, it's the ambulance service, the library boards, and all associated entities of the county. They will be doing the audits for all of those. We approved the purchase of 4 trucks, or more than that, 4 pickup trucks from the budget, and 2 dump trucks from the budget were approved. It's nice to see that we're getting multiple bids for these vehicles now instead of just one. The economic development division is very busy doing a lot of projects throughout Middlesex Centre and the county. You'll notice some signs that have went up at farmers' fields depicting like the corn crop and the different uses that the corn has. And there is one sign at the corner of Medway and Hyde Park and at the Law Farm. So if you want to know what's going on, like what uses corn is used for, there's about 7 or 8 different uses there that they do use. So the Economic Development Committee received 2 gold and 2 platinum awards for things they've been doing, promoting food to fork programs and that, and they're very busy doing a lot of stuff promoting agriculture within the county. The Social Services Relief Fund currently has helped about 55 families, some of it with housing. We have some hotel rooms that we use for housing people, and we're always looking for ways to help people get back on their feet. And that was the gist of that, and then the balance of the meeting was in camera. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Is there any other, any questions for the Deputy? No? Okay. Is there any other business that anyone would like to raise? I don't see anything. We have bylaws, and the motion there is that bylaws 2022 number 94 through 97 listed on the October 12th, 2022 council agenda be adopted as printed. Mover, please, and a second. Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Arts. Any opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. And now the adjournment motion is that council for the municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourns the October 12th, 2022 council meeting at 11 a.m. Heffernan, Cates and Councillor Heffernan, thank you. Any opposed?